Ben calls me in order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Bray.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox. Alderman Mills.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
Alderman Soul.
Here.
There is a quorum.
All right, next item will be invocation from Faith United Methodist Church, followed by a pledge of allegiance for Alderman Skinner.
Gracious God, we thank you for this evening together, for entrusting these leaders to serve the people of Green Valley. We ask your wisdom and guidance for each one as decisions are made for the benefit of this community. We look to you in all things. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up is the approval of the agenda. I did have one adjustment I wanted to make, and that is I would entertain a motion to, under previous business, add Main Street on-street parking there. I was originally going to have some individuals who wanted to speak. I was going to have them do it under public comment, but I thought we just add it under previous business. That way we could do a little bit more interaction back and forth, because under citizens' comments, we're not really supposed to interact. So is there anything else? Okay. So I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add Main Street on-street parking under previous business.
I'll move.
Okay, Mr. Braid, I have a second.
Second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. Agenda is amended. Next up then, we have a proclamation for National Public Works Week. I'm gonna make him come up while I read this. I see him back there. Come on up.
Where do you want?
And then turn around, face the crowd. Whereas public work services provided in our community are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communications and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Grand Valley, Missouri. And whereas the support of an understanding and informed public is vital to the efficient operation of public work systems and programs, including water, sewer, streets, code enforcement, and engineering, to provide these essential services to our citizens. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these services, as well as the planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the dedicated efforts and skills of the public works professionals. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding the importance of the work they perform. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, community leaders, and children to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and their programs in their communities. And whereas this year, 2024, marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And whereas the City of Grand Valley will host its annual community outreach and educational event on June 13th, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in Armstrong Park. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City of Grand Valley Board of Aldermen and I, Mayor Mike Todd, do hereby designate this week of May 19th to May 25th, 2024 as Public Works Week. Kids, that's a proclamation. All right, seeing no more proclamations, move on to police officer oath of office for Matthew Scholl.
Okay, so right in the, repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Matthew Scholl,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
that I will observe the provisions
and I will observe the provisions
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Green Valley,
of the city of Green Valley,
and that I will faithfully discharge all of my duties
and I will faithfully discharge all of my duties
as a member of the Green Valley, Missouri Police Department.
as a member of the Green Valley, Missouri Police Department.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Mr. Phil, here is your.
All right. Next up, we have public comment. This is the time for public to come forth and direct their comments to the Board of Aldermen. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and come forward to the podium and microphone and give your name and address to the record if you haven't already signed in, so we have that. Anyone wishes to address the board this evening? I can save you the previous comment, this is that way you can talk then. All right, anyone else? All right, seeing none, move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Ms. Alderman Skinner to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Mills. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, next up, we have previous business. Under previous business, we added Main Street on-street parking. As sure as you've noticed, as we talked about for a while, due to the site distance concerns we had on Main Street, we'd received numerous concerns and complaints for a while about people not being able to see pulling out there on Main Street from Front and Walnut, especially when there were high-profile vehicles there in those first two spots on either end. So we had staff go out and mark those spots off at the same time. Or actually, earlier we also had the spots painted on Walnut Street to add more parking down there. We had a couple individuals reach out that were concerned with the loss of those parking spots. I know that Matthew Hurd from Main Street Pinball is here this evening and wanted to kind of talk to the board a little bit about what he has going on down there. He actually owns the buildings that Scout Coffee, LT Cliazzo, Main Street Pinball, and then the Hall State Office, and then even the one next to that. So he owns those buildings. So I know 2 spots were eliminated there in front of his building. So I know he's here, so I'll let him come forward and kind of, he'd been talking to Ken and I with some concerns he had, so he wanted to be able to talk to the board about that. Yeah.
Matthew Hurd, I live at 506 Foothill, here in Green Valley. Been part of the community for a good 15 years. Business owner for the last couple. I used to own Presidios. I am aware that this is a safety, is where it first came. Somebody came to complain about safety issues of people pulling out. There was a little bit of misunderstanding. Information came out on a simple email that I no longer used. Otherwise, I would have been ahead of this a lot quicker before that things were actually came. So the concern is, again, I understand safety issues. We also have to think about the business business owners, not just my Main Street Pinball that I own, Mexican restaurant, Allstate, all these different places, have elderly that come in and out. We eliminated some parking that typically people who are handicapped would come in, and those are gone. Ones further down. Basically, when it comes to that standpoint, they have to park on the north side of really the main parking spot where everything's going to be on the north side of the Mexican restaurant. And pretty much all business is going to either park there all the way down, pretty much past Iron Kettle. There's a hair salon down there too. There's other places, not just my concern. But all of them have already addressed that as soon as those came up. Hey, we've already been very limited to parking, and this is only going to deviate their concern of renewing leases. We're trying to revitalize downtown Grand Valley, and this is something that is hindering it. I think there is some other alternatives that have been discussed. I have some things that I could address that, slowing the speed limit down, forcing the speed limit going through downtown, three-way stop. That's another one, making it to where you just turn left versus being able to make that right turn from Walnut onto Main Street. All those are things that could be a possibility. Putting the poles up alleviates to where on the Main Street, my whole business comes from buying and selling pinball machines. This is more on a personal level. Why I bought the big chunk of this is just to have something as neat as Main Street Pinball. It's not a typical thing. There's no money to be made. I can get people in there all day long at $20 when you're buying, $20,000 machines. It takes a lot to recoup that. This is actually more of a community service almost. The only money to be made is to buy machines, sell machines, and there's no way for me to park to unload a machine, pull a machine. All those parking are completely gone, and there's no way to even get an angle. So my alternative is stop Main Street traffic going southbound to even have that to unload. That's just on my standpoint. And like I said, the Mexican restaurant had a lot of people doing, takeout after COVID and stuff. They did a lot of takeout. Those parking spots are gone. There was also another parking spot on the north side of Walnut that was moved a couple months prior to that. So those are just concerns that I don't know if this is where we're at, it's done. Or if this is something that we can maybe look at some of these alternatives like I've suggested to see if those are possibilities. Because all this is gonna do is gonna make it harder, like 514, you guys want me to get in businesses that are, kind of niche-y. I've had people that are bakeries, ice cream shop, all of them come in here and want to have a breakfast place, all of them come to look at the unit that's open and all like the parking. What's up with the parking? This is before the 2 spots were even taken away. So it really makes it almost impossible to continue even the Allstate, they have 8 employees. There's about 20 employees that are actually employed throughout those businesses at any given time. And they're all gonna be forced to park at north side here. The north side parking lot's gonna have all that. Anytime there's any kind of major event down there, they're parking along the side. And I feel like there's more safety concern of people constantly crossing from Walnut over to Main Street or down that sidewalk, that when somebody's turning from Main Street onto Walnut, it's gonna be more of a hazard of people, kind of you turn, you don't see people come, there's no crosswalks or anything like that. So if they turn on there, I would think that is more of an issue than other. And there's some other minor things, like there's a trash can that's put there that can move out of the line of sight and things like this. I'm trying to look at it as a complete standpoint of safety. Somebody brought it to your attention. I understand where you guys come from that, but this is definitely going to make a major impact with all businesses downtown. And when it comes to limiting the handicap parking, I don't know how we got away with that, because I have customers that would come in. Special needs gentleman would come in with his dad. That was he was nonverbal in a wheelchair. There's no way for him to park. And otherwise, the only other thing is parking him on the north side, taking him through traffic again. People pulling off Walnut, more of a hazard than some of the things that we're more worried about. Being a line of sight of pulling out there, kind of force people to be a little bit safer. Stop, look, make sure that no traffic is coming. Either way, that's something I just wanted to address. So, thank you.
I don't see the other individual who'd reached out regarding, as Mr. Hurd had mentioned, one of the spots that was removed was on the corner of Front and Main, and that was a handicap spot. So staff did go out and then paint the first spot that's there on Front Street, Front and Main, as a handicap spot. So I mean, I know there was an individual who frequents, I know, the pharmacy there, and they were concerned about, not being able to park as close to the pharmacy with the removal of that handicap spot there. So I don't see them out here, but I wanted to relay that to the board so they knew. So basically, I just wanted to open it up from discussion on the board if we're,
So the first
That-
spot at Front and Main is
yeah.
handicap.
So
So you just moved it around the corner.
yeah, we're moving around the corner. So they did paint that one handicap right on the corner.
Have we done the same on Walnut or?
I don't.
Yep.
There wasn't a handicap spot now on the
Walnut, there's an elevation change.
Is there
Front
any
your level with the
possibility?
sidewalk.
I just remember this intersection being a nightmare. Just like even as a cop, you're pulling up, going towards Main Street on Front, and that first parking spot is a burden. But is there any possibility of maybe making Front Street to, I believe it's Greg? Is that the one that's right there at the
Yeah,
the
it's the
church?
first street,
Is
first
there
cross
any,
street.
is there any possibility we can make that one way? Westbound only?
Yeah, what's
Because that would eliminate the blind spot completely, and then it could even add parking to the south side of the building.
what's the process of doing that? Is that go to traffic study or I mean I don't
But
know.
always, it would require a study of it, but you're basically eliminating then the people on Front Street. As you know, Front Street carries quite a
Right.
bit of traffic from Kirby through the neighborhoods to Main Street. So you're
Right.
basically then eliminating them the opportunity to turn either southbound or northbound onto Main Street.
Well, it would divert them to Walnut, which is 500 feet to the north, and then they could turn onto Main Street from there. I understand that could be inconvenient for a few people, but when it comes to eliminating the safety and trying to make both parties happy, I mean, it is a safety concern. I don't like that intersection at all.
And that's the reason why it dictated the analysis, the study, the double check by our on-call engineering, that those two spots on either end are
Mhm.
within the sight distance.
Right. Okay. I'm just putting the idea out there.
Thanks.
Anything's possible, I
Yeah,
guess. It's
anything's
really up
possible.
to,
Yeah.
do you want to restrict the pattern of your traffic?
Yeah.
One way.
I mean, anything's possible on Walnut Front. Not everything's possible on Main Street because that's still MoDOT. So I mean,
Right.
we can't go out there and start adding stop signs to Main Street right now because we don't have
I think
that.
a stop sign on Main Street would be an absolute
Yeah,
nightmare anywhere.
because we can't even adjust the speed limit on Main Street, can we?
Correct.
What's the, not to get too far off topic, I guess, but what's the future of the area that currently houses our community garden? What's our long-term future plans of that piece of property? Is it gonna continue to be a community garden for the future, or?
We've never really.
I mean, that
discussed
seems like a
yeah.
prime,
I mean, I think we've talked about having it as, it's kind of morphed into, I don't know, like it's used for event spaces kind of, is making that more of like a permanent type.
yeah, to me, that seems like a perfect place to pave it. You put in electricity for your food trucks eventually down the road. You got a place where you can do flea markets on Saturday, like to help drive stuff in, and that could be, overflow parking. And that's, I mean, I get that it's not cheap to put pavement down, but that seems like if parking is the issue and it's holding back growth downtown, that seems like a perfect area for a lot of parking.
How many spots are in the public lot already at the corner of Walnut?
I don't know.
I could do the math. I have it pulled up.
Yeah, pull up.
Yeah.
They don't have it up, but
Your lips are moving.
I would guess 20 something.
22.
22 lot, all right. So 22 plus where there's 4 on Main right now.
That's 4 on Main, and then how many are painted on Walnut? 6,
8?
8?
Yeah.
Who owns the parking that's over there by, like, across from Iron Kettle? The parking lot by the railroad track?
Would be the building owner that,
Half is.
Oh, so that's private.
is that Patel?
You talking about like the old city hall?
And then you're talking about across the street from the bank.
Correct.
Yeah.
Half of it's bank and half of it's who owns the strip
Yeah.
mall there.
You're talking about on the east side of Maine?
Yes.
Yeah, it's, some is the owner of the commercial place.
Is that
some is
actually
the bank,
still-
and some is the railroad
Yeah,
board.
is that actually still even part of that's marked as an alley, isn't it, or something?
That's
Or that
behind
parking
the,
lot?
that's behind the buildings.
Okay, I thought there was a part through that.
Yeah,
lot,
because
too.
a long time ago, the Board of Aldermen vacated what was known as
Okay, we didn't look at
Second
that.
Street,
Okay.
or Front Street,
Okay.
which was,
Used to be the alley went through there.
Yeah, I
So-
think, oh, go ahead, Tom.
Well, I was just gonna say, how many complaints did we receive?
About this parking
Safety.
going away or about the not being able to see?
Safety, about the safety, how many?
I mean, there
It
was
was a pretty big deal.
there was several. Yeah, I mean there was a lot because I mean that was I would say over 20.
So is the bigger issue on Walnut in Maine, or is it Front Street in Maine? Or are they equally,
I think it
you
is-
removed 2 spots on
depends on who
each
you
side,
talk.
right?
Depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you're the pinball company, then
Yeah.
it's not Walnut.
it's the walnut end. No, he's at the walnut end. Is
I know,
what,
I know, yeah. Okay,
But then the Front Street end was more the handicap spot that got taken away,
okay.
which is my understanding that you don't even have to provide handicap parking for on street, right?
It's a different scenario,
It's in
yeah.
a scenario. But that's why we went ahead and moved it around a corner and painted the first spot there on Front Street as handicapped. So it moved it, 15 feet around a corner or whatever.
Again, long-term solution to me is you could keep your community garden and even make that a parking area, event space. I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff in that area. I mean, I've always looked at that area going, it's just a lot of area for a community garden that gets used, I mean, there are people that use them. I see them out there, but you can only use it for 4 or 5 months out of the year when we have.
Yeah, and
events.
so when we, gosh, when was that, like 2013, 15? It was the same time as the Main Street project. That was never necessarily like a permanent fixture, like we would try to find somewhere else to do that, but that was just a spot that we had and it was a use at
Oh,
the
sure.
time.
Well,
Yeah.
originally one of the reasons we acquired it was we were trying to straighten the road out. But then MoDOT cut that part because right now the road's offset, Walnut's offset.
Mhm.
And originally the plan was to line them up. But then MoDOT cut that part for cost reasons when they did everything else.
So if we can't bring the spots back, because what Mr. Trozen's saying is there was a study done and it was found it was unsafe.
it found that those spots, two on the two on the north, two on the south, impede the sight distance triangle for the standard,
Sure.
for the traffic engineering standard.
Are we putting like a physical barrier there, or are we just
There's post up now.
we put like concrete posts up?
Well,
No,
Yeah, they're like
Just
those,
the
the rubber
bollards.
base with,
Yeah.
they screw into the ground.
Okay. Well, my thought was we could make that like a 15-minute, 20-minute loading, unloading zone. So it's no parking, but it could be a loading zone. I mean, if that's the major concern that we're taking the spots away from a business owner, that's why he has that location is for loading and unloading. That could be a compromise, but then again, you couldn't have to be enforced by the police department, right? I mean, if they're driving by and they see cars parked there, they'd have to go ticket them or tell them to move or whatever. But this way, it stops him from having to, I don't even know what you do if you don't have those spots up front.
I'm not super familiar with your building. Do you have a back door out to that alley?
Yeah, but the alley's really limited with the gas mains, so there's no way to actually take the machines. That is the only place to park to get these machines are is right out front. But like he was saying, that is an option if you just got rid of the stand-up barriers, that you can at least get that angle when it's available and maybe the loading zone, or like I said, even another handicap zone would be, and if somebody's violating that, then you can write them a ticket. At least gives that option to where somebody can get the angle to park a vehicle.
how far off when we had to do the 2 spots, the one spot, did that get us close to? It didn't, did it? The 2 spots was just barely
Two
one.
spots barely gets us.
I don't know,
If we called it a 30-minute or 15-minute loading and unloading zone, other than just putting markers on the ground, right? There'd be no other way of physically stopping people from parking there.
Yeah, and when we had the initial meeting with staff and the mayor, we had talked about just all the parking on there being timed. But obviously, if you do that, that means that someone has to go out and try to monitor that. And
Now that we've,
so-
now that we've done the study and we've acknowledged that that's a safety issue, Joe, does that open us up to a liability if we allow parking there again and something happens?
Well, that's not a question I would like to answer in an open session. That would be something I could better answer in a closed session or in a separate memo, because it does point to, potential city liability, whether there is or isn't.
Yeah, I'm in favor of looking at, making that a loading or an unloading zone. And then pursuing what our future plans would be of that property that's located at Walnut and Main on the east side. As future, I mean, if that's limiting our ability to grow downtown, which is obviously a huge initiative for the city, I think that should be an area that is looked into for growth.
But let me ask you this. How long does it take you to load and unload a pinball machine?
15, 20 minutes.
So if we did like 20 minutes, then
Yeah, like I said, some people come to pick up one in a trailer, and that's where the issue is. You can't parallel park a trailer unless, I'm not horrible even with lots of space and parking, but yeah, with that limited space, having the barrier's gone, you can at least, if you understand what I'm saying, get the angle to where you can just kind of go into the available parking. Right or wrong, I put cones out to, 15 minutes and have the cones out blocking the spot, just so when somebody showed up, I move the cones, they come in, and we try to be as quick as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you just enforce it by putting out no parking signs and marking it no parking and relying on business owners to contact the city if people are making a habit of parking out there and having the police department take forward. I mean, people are eventually going to realize, hey, you can't park here. If you go to any downtown area, as somebody who travels across America, there's plenty of places I try to park that have big signs that say you can't park here. It looks like a great parking spot, but for some reason, there was a meeting like this that determined that you can't park there.
Have you ever tested it?
If it was a rental,
So I would like to make sure that we have some time with Joe to make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to anything before we do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to doing it. As long as the library's not there.
okay. Well,
Can we then put a crosswalk or something across Walnut to the actual, say, the Mexican restaurant? Because again, you're gonna get more foot traffic from there, which when people are turning onto Walnut, that's gonna be more foot traffic there coming in there. If they don't have a place to park there, then that's also gonna be an issue. Again, that's why I think the biggest concern is safety wise.
we don't have a painted crosswalk there now.
No,
do
we
we?
don't.
No, we don't.
We probably do need to
Because if
look
you're
at
gonna
that.
have handicapped people parking over in that parking lot to come across, then you got wheelchairs and stuff going across.
Yeah, so we probably do need to look at painting that crosswalk there and put up a sign. Okay. Well, we'll look at doing that, and then we'll get together with Joe and talk about our other options and see what we can go from there. All right, thank you. Someone else have anything for previous business? We'll move on to new business. We have the Grand Valley Fair Beer Garden on September, I think it's 6th and 7th. Jamie, I think it's 6th and 7th. It'd be on the 6th and 7th. And that will be ran by Mo Country. All right. Matt Brokaw was going to try to be here tonight. I guess he couldn't make it, but I can cover this. They are planning on just doing the same as what's been done in the past. Fencing off the area around the pavilion, serving out of the pavilion window there. We have all the signage that says no alcohol beyond this point. They do have their people doing the proper ID check, all of that. And then what they do is they just take their cost of goods off the top, and then they make a donation back to help pay for bands and such from the proceeds of what they sell. So I don't think there was any changes on anything over there.
Nope.
So basically, the part of this is just since it is on city property, in order for them to get the catering license, that's what it's called, right?
Yes.
They have to have permission from the property owner, and since the property owner is the city, we just have to give permission for that so they can get the rest of the license together. So, anyone have any questions? All right, well, if no one has any questions, I'll entertain a motion then to grant them permission to operate that so they can get the rest of the license together.
Make a motion.
I got a motion from Alderman Skinner. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right. Next up is presentation from the Grand Valley Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect, okay. Good evening. My name is Corey Enright. I'm the Director of Business Development with the Green Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to present our annual report this evening. As you likely know, this past year has been a year of transition for the Chamber. We transitioned from the Green Valley Partnership to the Green Valley Chamber of Commerce last spring, and I began my work with the Chamber in April of 2023. During this transition, the Chamber refocused its programs and services to ensure these efforts aligned with our mission to be a leader in the growth of Green Valley. We are pleased to share the following highlights and accomplishments over the past year, including a rebranding to the Green Valley Chamber of Commerce, including a new website, an event and membership management service. We conducted 8 ribbon cuttings for new businesses from April 2023 to April 2024. We underwent a complete review of program offerings with member feedback, which resulted in better focused membership luncheons and at least 5 new program offerings in 2024. There's been a 19% increase in memberships from April 2023 to April 2024. And in addition, we have instituted a free membership option for emerging businesses. We also refocused our annual awards program to incorporate a community-wide celebration of businesses, business owners, and community volunteers, resulting in the presentation of the first Heart of Green Valley Awards in February 2024. We were thrilled to receive more than 300 nominations from the community for our 6 award categories, and over 80 attendees joined at our awards dinner to celebrate the nominees and award recipients. And finally, we presented 2 $1,000 scholarships, one in May 2023 and one just last week, to Green Valley High School seniors pursuing careers in construction and engineering. The scholarships are funded through our annual Kiss It Classic Golf Tournament. 2024 tournament is this Friday. We have outlined a series of priorities as we look towards 2024 and 2025. In terms of membership, we've established a young professionals group and plan to host at least 3 events in 2024. We've also established a Chamber Ambassadors group to involve current members in programming and ensure all members feel welcome and connected. And the Chamber's Marketing Committee has set an ambitious goal of increasing membership to 200 members by December. In terms of training and education for our members, we will complete 6 membership luncheons, 10 Coffee Connections programs, and at least 5 additional program offerings in 2024. With respect to financials, we will complete a series of fundraising events, including our golf tournament, fireworks stand, and bingo at the Green Valley Fair, to connect with members in the community and raise funds to support Chamber programming. In addition, the board and staff have made it a budget priority to establish a reserve fund for the organization. Finally, as we continue efforts to serve as a leader in the growth of Green Valley, we will continue to partner with and support peer organizations and the city to advocate and assist in the advancement of business expansion and community growth. We appreciate the city's support of the Green Valley Chamber of Commerce and appreciate the opportunity to share our work over the past year with you. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anyone have any questions?
Sounds like a good report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, See no additional presentations, no public hearings. Move on to resolutions. First resolution is R 24-35. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley reappointing Mike Schweitzer, Adam Hoover, and Lisa Lindberg to the Grand Valley Parks and Recreation Board for 3-year terms.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 24-35.
I got motion by Alderman Cleaver to approve resolution R 24-35. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this one's pretty self-explanatory. This would just be reappointing 3 current members.
I see no discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Next up then is resolution R 24-36. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to purchase a 2024 Ford F-350 regular cab and accessories for the Parks Division.
I move that we approve resolution number R 24-36.
I have a motion by Alderman Skinner to approve resolution R 24-36. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Sol. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this vehicle was identified as a need to be replaced during the budget cycle. It'll be replacing 2012 F-250, so it was over in years and in mileage, so it is due for replacement.
Any discussion? See none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Next, we have resolution R 24-37. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to execute change order number 2 with All Pro Asphalt Maintenance LLC for the 2024 pavement maintenance program.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 24-37.
I have motion by Alderman Mills to approve resolution R 24-37. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this was something that we discussed with the board as doing an add-on to our current agreement. Essentially, this would just add mileage to our asphalt replacement program for this year. And that would be on Greystone Drive from Snybar to Lower Lane and Lower Lane from Greystone Drive to the north end.
Any discussion? All right. See none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Next up, we have resolution R 24-38. This is a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to execute change order number 1 with Quality Custom Concepts Incorporated for the 2024 concrete replacement and paving program.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 24-38.
I got motion by Alderman Skinner to approve resolution R 24-38. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is just the concrete side that would be associated with those same roads.
Have any discussion?
I got a quick question about the roads and curbing, since I'm new here. So, when are we going to discuss like streets that need to be added on in the future, like for future projects?
Yep, so we are currently working on the updated CIP, so that's the 5-year outlook. So generally that comes back to the board summertime.
Okay.
But it goes off of the road inventory that we had done a few years ago. And our plan is actually to ask for in the 2025 budget kind of a revamp of that, because it has been a few years now, but basically going and doing a full overview of all of the roads to get an updated condition on them.
Okay, so would that be the appropriate time to recommend streets that may have been overlooked in the past?
Yeah, so when we go through that, show you the study results and then kind of go through that.
Okay.
And base that off of budgeted funds that are available.
Any additional discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Next up, we have resolution R 24-39. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Vance Brothers, Inc. for micro seal paving.
I move that we approve resolution number R 2439.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Sol to approve resolution R 24-39. Do I have a second?
Second.
Skinner. Any discussion?
This is also part of the pavement maintenance plan for 2024. The reason it's a different contractor for this is we'd be piggybacking off of the contract that they have with Platte County, they being Vance Brothers. But essentially, this would just be micro seal on those roads that are listed. The big one that we see a lot is Walnut, so it'd be from Maine to Kirby Road. So should add a little life to those roads.
Discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, that's it for resolutions. Next up then is ordinances.
This is the first reading of Bill Number B 24-08. This is an ordinance appointing Susan Watkins as Judge, Green Valley, Missouri, Municipal Division, Circuit Court of Jackson County, Missouri, and setting the pay therefor.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of Bill B 24-08 and make a second reading by title only.
I have motion by Alderman Bray to approve Bill B 24-08 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, this would just be reappointing our current judge to another term.
Any questions, discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
This will be the second reading of Bill Number B 24-08. This is an ordinance appointing Susan Watkins as Judge, Green Valley, Missouri, Municipal Division, Circuit Court of Jackson County, Missouri, and setting the pay therefor.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of Bill B 24-08 and bring it back as ordinance number 2449.
Okay. I have motion by Alderman Bray to approve Bill B 24-08 for its second reading, making ordinance 2449. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, this will be roll call.
Alderman Bray,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner,
Yes.
Alderman Soul.
Yes.
5-0. Okay, this will be the first reading of Bill Number B 24-09. This is an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Green Valley, Missouri, amending Title II, Chapter 215, Section 215.200, Sexual Misconduct, and repealing Section 215.216 of the City of Green Valley, Missouri.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of Bill number B 24-09 and bring it back for second reading at our next meeting.
I have motion by Alderman Bray to accept Bill B 24-09 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, this is one of those updates that we're doing to ensure that our code is in line with the other laws that are out there. So it's kind of a language cleanup.
Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Okay, this is the first reading of Bill Number B 24-10. This is an ordinance to repeal Ordinance 2447 and enact a revised amendment to Title II Public Health, Safety, and Welfare, Chapter 215, Article 10, Offenses Against the Public Order, Section 215.370, Peace Disturbance, A1A of the Code of Ordinances.
Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of bill number B 24-10 and bring it back for our second reading at our next meeting.
Okay. I have motion by Alderman Cleaver to approve Bill B 24-10 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Mills. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this has to do with the after-hours work, and the word permitting was added before each of these activities, and then an additional line was, or sentence was added at the end that specifically states that an after-hours permit is not needed for work that does not require a permit.
Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That's it for ordinances. Next up, city attorney's reports.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Next up, city administrator and staff reports.
I'll start with Mr. Trozen.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. Approximately 2 weeks ago, we put a door hanger letter on all the residents along Front Street. We have a community workshop scheduled this Wednesday, May 15th, from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. to talk about the Front Street reconstruction project. Also on hand will be our consulting firm that helps with the easements acquisitions. There are several temporary easements along this project and a couple of permanent easements that would be needed by those property owners. And this will get an opportunity to explain the project as well as hopefully sign them up at this meeting. It's at the community center in the meeting room. The other announcement I have, since we won't have a meeting at the end of the month, is Saturday, June 1st, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. is our annual spring cleanup at our Public Works facility on James Rollo Road. As you know, this is a very popular event every year. We are also having our senior pickup that's scheduled for Thursday, May 30th and Friday, May 31st. Residents are reminded that they need to contact Public Works at 816-847-6274 to schedule that pickup, senior pickup, by Friday, May 24th.
Okay. We'll go to Mr. Davies.
Mayor and board, I just wanted to let you all know that we will be opening up the pool Saturday, May 25th for the upcoming 2024
And then just a couple other things. In front of you had the HR report from our HR administrator. I would point out under current jobs, the role of police officer is not listed on there for the first time in quite some time. So anything can always change, but that is the first report you had for quite a while that didn't list that. We actually are just down to a few spots, only 2 full-time spots that we are hiring for at the moment. And then just wanted to say thanks to everybody who came out to the ribbon cutting last week. Thought it went really well. I know staff put in a lot of time on that, so thank you if you were able to come out to that. And I know they're staying busy trying to get everything organized in that new facility. That's it for staff comments.
All right, next up, Board Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Cleaver.
Nothing tonight.
Alderman Skinner.
You gotta start on that side.
My job is to switch it up.
I have a list of like 23 signatures for some streetlights on Dillingham on the walking path from a Miss Irma Davis. It's a lot. I was gonna scan it into an email, but I figured I would just hand it to you. So what they're looking for, and there's already some streetlights between Persimmon and Duncan that are like mounted to the telephone poles, and there's 2 of them there, and my thought would be maybe like 2 or 3 of them between Hedgewood and Persimmon. I know there's a cost to it, so definitely would look for your guys' feedback. There's a pretty good hill right there on Dillingham between Persimmon and Hedgewood. And I, got confronted by a couple, I wouldn't say confronted, I got some nice people came up at the HOA meeting and asked me about this, and then shortly after they gave me this completed application for streetlights. So if you could look into that, I'd appreciate it. I'll give it to you after the meeting. That's all I have.
Okay. Alderman Bray.
The only thing I have tonight is with the accident that we had recently up on Jefferson. Had a lot of people contact me about wanting some little extra patrol out there to maintain speed limits. In addition to that, Russ Road has been a problem lately between BB and Duncan. So and it's not me, I live on that road. I swear to God, it's not me speeding up and down it. It has been a bit of a problem lately, and I've had a few people come contact me on that one.
Alderman Mills.
I'm glad you started on that end, so Alderman Skinner down there wouldn't have thought of more stuff to say, but I do want to say that the police department loved going to that ribbon cutting and getting the tour. Real proud of that station. It's a beautiful place. Good asset for the city.
Alderman Saul.
I second what he just said. I was very impressed with the new police department. Great job to the prior people who got that all going, and welcome to our newest officer, Officer Scholl.
Next up is Mayor's report. I have a couple things. First off, unfortunately we had the tragic accident on Jefferson. I know there's been a lot of people concerned with that roadway. the addition of guardrails and making it wider with a shoulder. That is a MoDOT road, and it's something we've been in talks with them. So I've spoken with the through Messenger through some of the family members of the individual. I know they are working on a petition, trying to get 10,000 signatures for that. I've already reached out to our Representative Coleman, and I've reached out to city staff as well. We're going to try to find a date in June because the Representative Coleman will be out of session then, that we can kind of do an open house here at City Hall, kind of give get some information about, what streets, not just Jefferson in particular, but what streets are MoDOT, what that looks like for us. That's not the only one we have concerns with, Duncan, about Targany, that's MoDOT. We have concerns there as well. Kind of give them an overview of who, of whoever attends, what it looks like, and in particular, let them present their petition then to Representative Coleman, so he can then take it back and he can put a little more pressure on MoDOT from his end. So once we get that kind of set up and get a date, we'll let everyone know so you can attend if you wish. The next thing we need to do then is, I guess at our next meeting, we need to look at committees and Mayor Pro Tem, what we want to do there. So at the next meeting, once you guys figure out who you would like to be Mayor Pro Tem, make a motion and vote on that. And then we also need to look at committees that we attend. We have liaison to the Parks Board that we'll need, liaison that goes to school, and then liaison for planning and zoning as well. So if any of those interest you, let me know, and I can get you assigned, or I may just be reaching out to some of you and seeing, hey, do you want this one? So if no one shows interest, so let me know on that. That is all I have then for Mayor's report. I do believe we do have a need for executive session under legal at this point. So I will entertain a motion then to adjourn an executive session for legal.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Skinner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bray. Any discussion? All right, this will be a roll call.
Alderman Bray,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Soul,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
All right, we'll adjourn the executive session.